So it's always an exciting day when you get to plant your first tomatoes. Actually, they're not strictly speaking, my first tomatoes, because the first tomatoes are the ones in the hanging baskets, and they're the ones that I did early. These are ones I only sowed 6 weeks ago, so they're nice and small. I like them small. I'll talk about that later on in the video. I'm only planting, I think, about a third of the tomatoes today, because the rest of the polytunnel that's down the side here is still in full production. So I just want to get at least one, maybe two more harvests out of it before I put the rest of the tomatoes in. And to be honest, the tomatoes are still a good size. They can afford to hold in the pots for, another couple of weeks. So when it comes to fertilising, I don't want to really over fertilise them. I'm just putting a handful of composted cow manure, composted with seaweed around them, and a little bit of extra nitrogen for the cucumbers, because cucumbers like a little bit more nitrogen than tomatoes do, and because I'll be just watering them with tomato food, I just want to give them a little bit of a nitrogen boost. Don't want to give the tomatoes too much nitrogen fertilizer, because then you'll just get lots of green growth and not as much fruit. So I'm also just giving them a little bit of dolomite lime, and that is just as a hedge, just in case we get any, or we would otherwise get any problems with blossom end rot. I very rarely get that, but that might be because I put a little bit of dolomite lime in. And also just give them a bit of a water with Epsom salts, but I won't do that right now. I'll do that in a few weeks' time once they're a bit better established, because the ground's already nice and moist. I don't want to give them any more water. At the moment, what I want them to do is go searching for water. So I've not watered them in anymore after planting. As I say, the pots are reasonably moist, the ground is reasonably moist. They will just shoot away. Those roots will just go straight down looking for water deep down in the bed, which is exactly what I want. Obviously, if I see any signs that they're kind of not getting enough water, then I'll give them a bit of water, but right now I'm not going to overwater them, because I want them to fight for their lives, basically. And I'll also talk a little bit in the video about interplanting, and I've tried all sorts of different things interplanted into the beds in summer, along with the tomatoes and the cucumbers, and to be honest, I haven't had a lot of success. So last year I tried beetroot, and they just got decimated by caterpillars. And the year before, what did I try? Carrots. They just got eaten by something. I think that must have been some sort of beetle or something like that. I never actually saw it, never found any evidence of it, so it was obviously something that was feeding at night. And yeah, in previous years I have had a little bit of success with carrots, and previous years a little bit of success with beetroot. This year I've only got beetroot in that's already mature, so it's going to get pulled sometime in the next month or so, just as we're running out of beetroot in store, and it's my first succession of beetroot, and it's already rooting up quite nicely. And then I'm not really sure whether I'll bother interplanting anything until about August time. August time here it gets a bit cloudier, it's not as hot in the polytunnel, and so I have had quite a lot of success with getting a intermediate crop of Asian greens out of the tunnel, so something like tatsoi, pak choi, those sorts of things. It just seems to be a good time for them, sort of. I think it's probably about the middle of August sort of time, and then I'll harvest those all the way through September, and then I'll take them out in October when I plant everything again for winter. And so I've got the bed nicely hydrated. It was pretty moist already because this bed had salad onions and spinach in it, and this bed had lettuces in it, so they'd all been watered consistently. Obviously still got beetroot in. I'm going to interplant some leeks into this bed. Leeks in a polytunnel, well, I found that they're one of the few things that really does quite well next to the tomatoes, and it's quite nice to get a leek crop all the way through summer. And of course they're ready and nice and mature by October, when I clear the bed and get it replanted with all autumn and winter crops. So the way I do it, I like to use these, I think they're called halos. I do like these for a few reasons. I'll just take one out just to show you. I like the fact they've got these little pegs on, which means that the water gets delivered sort of, an inch or so below soil level, and it kind of the holes block up, as you can see with the compost, and so the water just dribbles through them at a very slow rate, and that seems to me to be just perfect. So I fill, when the plants are really mature and I want to leave them for a couple of days, I'll fill this whole outer ring with water, and as I say, it just delivers a drip 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 of water deep in the ground. And yeah, I really like that, rather than kind of overwhelming them with one big flush of water. And then when I'm feeding them, I feed through the centre ring. So most of the time the stem stays dry. So I quite like that about them. I also like the fact that kind of when I put them down, they are kind of creating a little bit of a moisture trap around there, and quite like that. I'm going to fill this centre area here with some strulch, which is like a mineralised straw, and that will hold even more water in the kind of root zone of the plant. So quite excited, well, excited is the wrong word, interested to try that out. And yeah, I like them. I don't know what else I like about them, but that is one of the things is lots of tomatoes kind of drop in them, and it's easy to get them out without all the seeds kind of dropping into the bed. I don't like that many, all these like hundreds of self-seeded tomatoes starting to grow in the middle of winter that I have to weed out. So once I've got the spacing right, and that's the spacing I'm using, so I don't know what exactly that is, but it fits in the bed, and that is most important to me. I'll just make a hole the same size as the plant, drop the plant in it, and pop the halo on top, because my plants are quite small. I'll get a tray out so you can see. It's kind of perfect for me. That's the size I like them. They're only just kind of peeking out of the top of the halos when I've planted them. And as I say, that I find that that's just perfect. Plants get away really quickly. I don't plant them particularly deep. I've never found a need to do that, although I know some people like to do that. So there we go, there's the cucumber in there. I've taken off the first few cucumbers. We're not in need of cucumbers at the moment. We're harvesting about 20 a week from the plants at home. So I just want it to get well established. I'll actually probably take these off as well, because as I say, we're in no rush. And these plants here, these are nicely bedded in. As I say, I like small plants. I don't want any flowers on them at this stage. For our early tomatoes, we've got them up there in the hanging basket, so that will get us started. And the reason I like them nice and small and compact like this, as I say, without any flowers or trusses or anything, is because I want the first trusses to form when the plants are sort of 12 inches high. I don't want them to be leggy, because I only have a certain amount of growing height here, maybe 5.5 feet or something like that, before they hit the roof. And so I want them as compact as possible, with as many trusses as possible up that relatively short stem. So I'm going to get these halos on. As a gardener, there's always a temptation to think that bigger is better, and it's always slightly embarrassing when you plant your tomatoes and they're only just reaching the top of the halos. But within a week or so, they'll be outgrowing those and they'll be shooting out. And I haven't put the strings in yet. When I do the strings, all I do is I just clip the strings to the base of the plant and then start winding them round, and they do really nicely like that. I know some people like to plant the strings underneath their tomatoes. I don't do that, not for any particular reason. I just have never done it. I've never found the need to do it. So there we go, they're all in. I'm very happy with those. So I'll just talk you through a few little details. So the cucumbers, you have to be really careful when you're putting the cucumbers in not to disturb the roots. Tomatoes are much more tough but best to make a hole exactly the same size as the pot that the cucumbers are in, and then just ease them out of the pot and then drop them in. So, hope you like this quick video. My name's Steve, this is the Seaside Kitchen Garden and Allotment channel, and I will do another video, or probably a couple of videos, all about the TLC of tomatoes post-planting. And I'll probably do another planting video as well when I plant the other side of the polytunnel once I've managed to get that cleared. I'll see you soon.